The Houston Astros came into Oakland, and let's review what happened.
You are Locked On A's, your daily Oakland A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody, and hello, A's fans, and welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about your Oakland A's during this very, very strange final year in Oakland. My name is Paul Francis Sullivan. I'm your host. Please call me Sully. I've been a baseball podcaster for a long time. It's my sixth season here at the Locked On Podcast Network, where I'm the host of Locked On A's and also Locked On MLB. I'm doing both at the same time. Why? Because, and by the way, thanks for a lot of the kind notes from some of you who want me to keep going on doing Locked On A's, and thank you for some of you who wrote in saying you don't want me anything to do with the show. I listen to both sides of the equation, and there you go. Hey, follow us at Locked On A's on Twitter or whatever it's called now, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And let's just go through a couple people. When I was talking about the series against Anaheim the other day, when I said, why couldn't they put Miller in to finish out the save, especially when h-vac was not pitching particularly well. It's Steve with, I think, about 48 E's in here, says, I was at the game on Sunday. I said the same. Why not put Miller in and limit the runs? We actually sat in a suite this time, and I have to say it was quite the experience. As a resident of Sacramento, I look forward to your Sacramento segment. Well, you may have already that may have already aired. And then Huge Baseball says, where was Mason? 2 innings save after 5 days rest could have worked. And Snarf says, h-vac gave it up. It's the stash. Well, I'm not blaming the stash. I'm telling you what I'm doing in this show. I'm doing what I sometimes do on the weekend, where I cover one game, and then the game after that. Well, I decided to do that for the Houston series because this is an interesting series. The A's have been a winning team this July, and they beat up on the Angels, and they beat up on some other teams. But now the Astros have come in here, and they're on a roll. They took 2 out of 3 in a dramatic series against the Seattle Mariners to reclaim first place. And for a day, they were in first place by themselves, which I find very interesting for a team that was 10 games out not too long ago. And this is going to be a test of the A's role for the rest of the season. We saw that when Philadelphia won a dramatic series and an emotional series where they swept the Los Angeles Dodgers, and a little bit of a statement series saying, like, hey, we're the best team in the National League. And then the A's came to town, punched them right in the mouth. They dropped 2 out of 3. This could be the A's role the rest of the way, to be a counterpunch to a bunch of these teams who think they can come wandering into the East Bay or have this green-shirted team come into their ballpark and be 2 or maybe even 3 easy wins. The A's can show and basically be an impact on the postseason if they can beat up some contenders. So I'm recording this on the morning on Tuesday. The Monday game took place last night. I'm going to be doing a segment after the Tuesday game and then recording after Wednesday afternoon and dropping it. This is probably when you're watching this. Now, what have I said should be the A's strategy for winning games? The strategy should be avoid the other team's big inning. Don't make stupid mistakes, and try to score runs that are not homers. Homers are great, but you can't rely on them. And they had Hogan Harris pitching, and you saw it with Arrighetti pitching for the Astros. He's a vulnerable pitcher. I thought, okay, if the A's can win the opening game, that's going to really set the tone for the series. It puts the Astros on their heels to win the next 2, because they're in a gunfight with the Mariners. Now, the Mariners were beaten by the Angels. The Mariners just are trying to putting a bazooka to their foot. They had a 10-game lead a month and a half ago, And now they're fighting tooth and nail with an Astros team that looked dead from the neck up just a few weeks ago. But the Astros obviously got a little help from the Angels. But if the A's could win game one, it puts the Astros in a position where they have to win the next two games. Otherwise, psychologically, you said, wow, we went to the A's and lost the series. So how did they do? For the first two innings, no score. All right, Harris and Arrighetti are facing off quite well. Thank you very much. But then Andujar, who's probably going to be traded, got a double to make it 2-0, and Blade doubled to make it 3-0. Look at that. They got a 3-run inning. Remember how hard it was a few weeks ago for them to get any runs? It was like trying to squeeze a brick to try to get a run that wasn't a homer. Well, they put 3 runs on the board in the third inning without a home run. And I remember thinking, wow, that's actually pretty terrific. And then and Schumann drove in another run to make it 4-0. Now, there was a stat they had during the A's broadcast yesterday. I believe it said the last 5 or 6 games they had scored 5 runs a game each time. And so they've been bludgeoning other teams. So I thought, it's 4-0 in the fourth. They'll get that 5th run easily. Give the Astros credit. They shut the A's down the rest of the way. Arrighetti was not great through 4 innings, but they let him pitch 2 more. And by the way, make note of that, Major League Baseball managers. Arrighetti did not have a great outing. He let up 7 hits, 4 runs, but in 6 innings. He stretched out a little bit. And King and Montero pitched the 7th and 8th innings, but they didn't have to have their bullpen throw 3 or 4 innings a game. Maybe let that starting pitcher get that extra inning, squeeze that 1 extra inning if they can. Oh, but he's already faced them twice and blah, 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 especially teams who are contending down the stretch. But, sometimes if you've got 2 more games and you got a day game where it's probably going to be 900 degrees on Wednesday. Yeah, don't blow your bullpen out on the first game. But let's hear it for Hogan Harris. Now, Hogan Harris, again, he let up a bunch of hits. He let up 7 hits in 6 2/3 innings, but he struck out 7 batters. He got the big strikeouts when he needed them. And Adams came out and got him out of a jam in the 7th inning. I thought when they started putting runners on the 7th inning, yikes. But forget not having the big inning. The Astros couldn't score. That lineup didn't score against the A's. And good for Urseg coming right back and throwing a solid inning. This is the beauty of being a relief pitcher. Yeah, he wet the bed on Sunday. Come right out. And then, of course, it was Miller time. Now, I felt Miller should have come out with a chance to sweep that series, but who knows? Maybe Kotze knows better than me. Maybe he said, hey, we have already won the series against the Angels. Let's have Miller ready for game 1 against the Astros. And yes, it was not a safe situation, but who cares about safe situations? It was let's lock down the Astros in game 1. Let's make it a positive thing that it wasn't a safe situation. And 4-0. A's did everything. Avoid the bad inning. Didn't make dumb mistakes. They did make Schumann did make an error at one point, but it didn't come back to hurt them. They scored runs without the home run, and they got the big out when they needed. And now the Astros are on their heels a little bit because they're starting. Who's going? Now, you all know what happened. But right now, I don't. I'm living in the present. You're living in the future. Bloss is pitching. Bloss is pitching for Houston. Beto's pitching for Oakland. Bloss is a talented pitcher, but he's not Justin Verlander in his prime. They can jump on him big time. And by the way, if the A's win on Tuesday night, then the day after the night game is completely house money. So let's go, A's. Let's see what they can do. Game 1 in the bag. What you want to do? Have the Astros on their heel. Now, let's see what happens in the second game. This episode of Locked On A's is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. I love going on trips. I went on a fantastic trip to upstate New York earlier this year, and I went to Buffalo, which is a beautiful city. Went to Niagara Falls, Went to Syracuse, saw a Syracuse Mets game, went all the way to Cooperstown, spent 2 amazing days at the Baseball Hall of Fame. And no matter where I went, I was at a fantastic place through Booking.com, a great old-style hotel right in downtown Buffalo, a nice, safe hotel near the Syracuse campus, and a beautiful inn within walking distance of the lake and the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. From hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the United States for your summer travel this baseball season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on the Booking.com or at the app, the Booking.com app. Booking.com, do you know what I'm telling you? It should be called Booking.yeah. All right, let's hear from our friends over at PrizePicks. You know about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. And all you got to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 5 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. It's the easiest, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. You can now get up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You could turn $10 into $1,000. And PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including Texas, Georgia, and right here in California. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. With PrizePicks, it's really just that easy. Hey, where is your hub for all of your sports news, your sports takes? Let me tell you something. Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 streaming channel program for you to bring you the best sports stories, and sports mores. Oh, man, my mouth is not cooperating with me, but you got to listen to Locked On Sports Today. They bring you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or on the free Amazon Fire TV channel app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Do you know what? I'm not even going to redo that one. I'm not even going to redo it. Hey, great news. Hey, you listen to me? You listen to me, A's fans? The A's won the series. I'm recording this on the morning of the 24th. The A's won the series against Houston. A first-place team came into Oakland, and the A's punched them right in the mouth. And like the Angels series, that means the final game is just going to be house money. Now, of course, I want to see them sweep the Astros, but none of us really thought they were going to sweep the Astros. But here's a glorious thing. And listen to me, and mind you, listen to me very, very well. The A's played exactly the kind of baseball you would want them to play. They did not allow the big inning to the Astros. They did not make an error, and they got the pitching they needed. Beto was fine. He let up 4 hits, but the big thing is no walks. Here's the other big thing. No walks by the A's pitchers all night long. Beto pitched 5 innings. He threw 70 pitches. Scott Alexander pitched the 6th. Ferguson the 7th, Tanez the 8th, McFarland the 9th. No need for Miller. No need for Miller on this one. When you have a day game after a night game, you now have Miller completely rested and ready. And let me tell you something, Kotsay. If it means a 2-inning save from Miller, then you pull the trigger on that. To come in and sweep the Astros, oh yeah, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do that, baby. Butler was phenomenal. 4 times on base. By the way, his average is now up to 253. It was floundering in the 200s not too long ago. Butler is doing everything you'd want from a leadoff hitter. Look what he did. He got on base 4 times. Wound up scoring 2 runs. He wound up driving in 2 runs. He had a home run. He had a triple. He had a double. The only thing he didn't have was a single. The one thing he didn't have for the cycle was a single. But you know what? We'll take it. We'll take Bleday getting a double. Seth Brown got a double. Rooker homer. Butler homer. Brown homer. Geloff homer. Langalier's homer. You got a homer. You got a homer. Abraham Toro is back. He got a couple of hits. And stole a base. And Rooker stole a base too. Everything you would want. Everyone contributed up and down the lineup. And yes, some of the Astros got some hits, but one of the 2 runs they got was a complete garbage time home run in the 9th inning by Jeremy Pena. So the A's were up 2-0 in the first inning, and then just kept it going. The only 2 innings they didn't score were in the 2nd and the 8th. They just kept it going. They made sure that there was a runner on base and some people scoring every freaking inning. And that's a glorious thing. Not much more to say about that. The A's wound up winning. Now they can win the series. So in a few hours, the final game of the series, and you already know what's going to happen. So that's why I'm not going to go too in depth, but it's a glorious thing. We will see what happens to the A's. They are playing an afternoon game against the Astros. Can they go for the sweep? Can they do it? You already know. I can't wait to find out. Hey, you can tell I've been going to a lot of ball games recently, whether it's in Oakland, San Francisco, or all the way in Sacramento. And the best place to get your tickets is through Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices and views from the seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Look, I know where I like to sit. First of all, I don't like to sit in the sun in Sacramento. I think I made that very clear in the last show. I also like to sit in the second deck, behind home plate, a little bit up the first base line. That's my favorite view of the game. And that's the zone I want to sit in. So I get the zone deals. I can choose the section, and Game Time will find me the best deals in there. With flash deals, you can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game. And you get seat views, a panoramic view from your seat, so you can see where you're going to sit before you hit buy. And Game Time ticket coverage means your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. The last minute tickets and the best prices, do you know what they are? They're guaranteed. Hey, this is a reminder that Locked On has created the first ever national sports streaming service. It is called Locked On Sports Today. It's available on YouTube and on the Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channel app. It's here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts from Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channel app. All right, so they got their butts kicked today. But I will say this. If you are going to lose a game, and the A's got trounced today. They got absolutely clotheslined. And, this is the second series where the A's have been up 2-0, had a chance to sweep the series at home, and it didn't come through. Now, this one wasn't as frustrating as the game on Sunday, where the A's had a big lead. There was no big lead today. The A's they tied the game in the first. And when they tied the game in the first, I thought, okay, maybe. And it was only 2-1 going to the fifth, and the A's were rallying in the sixth inning. They had the tying run at the plate, and they could not get that big hit. And then the fourth run, seventh inning just did them in. Just did them in. And that was the big inning that clocked, because it was 4-1. A 2-run home run, they're back in the game. And one of the things I said is they have to score a run other than a homer. Well, they got Andujar drove it without a homer. They made a pair of errors, both by one by Brown, one by Taro. And they let the big inning. The big inning killed them. Now, one thing that was kind of cool is that Sears pitched into the seventh, and Mueller pitched the rest of the way, because there was no reason to do more than that. at some point you say, all right, no, we're not going to win. So they only use 2 pitchers today. They go to Anaheim later today because that's the law. They have to always play Anaheim. And when you consider how well the A's have played against Anaheim, at least in Oakland, I know they're called Los Angeles. I went to Cal State Fullerton. All right. I know that Anaheim is nowhere near Los Angeles. Okay. How would you feel if a team was in Gilroy and they called them San Francisco? Okay. That's more or less the same thing. All right. I digress. The A's are going to play the Angels, and we're going to see where they land. But they have they're coming off of that series win against the Angels and just pounding Philadelphia in Philadelphia. The All-Star break. They wound up clotheslining the Angels and taking 2 out of 3 from the Astros. You can't ask better than that. This is not what the A's were giving us about a month or so ago. And they are 2 wins away from clinching a winning month and playing spoiler. There's playing spoiler. The Mariners dropped 2 out of 3 to the Angels, and they lost no games in the standing because of what was happening. So, we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens when they start the series tomorrow. A couple of people wrote to me regarding the last episode. Useless Trucker, who is a frequent listener to the show, only has nice things to say, said, am I getting ridiculous here, or do the A's actually look like the best team in Major League Baseball? Those are not mutually exclusive statements. Do I think they're the best team in baseball? No, but they show they can play with anyone right now. And I'm loving this whole we're going to act like spoilers situation. Take it seriously. Come and treat Oakland lightly at your own peril. Oh, there's an everyday A's who's Paul Giza 1681 said you are an everyday A's. Enjoy the game. Useless Trucker is apparently texting a lot or commenting a lot while trucking along. Said, will the Sacramento Stadium fit all 600 A's fans? Oh, what charming wit. What charming wit. There you go. I thought there was one more that I had. A lot of people. This was what I wanted to read. This is from Rob Shinekoff 6548. I'll just read his comment. He said, this is when I talked about the basically letting Vince Contronio go and just sort of not even offering him a contract. Dumping Vince Contronio is another high-profile stupid move by the A's. Among so many other bad decisions they can't even make under this owner. Contronio and Korak are the A's. They're among the best broadcast teams in all baseball. They've ended up for no other reason than saving a few dollars. 19 years of broadcasting A's baseball, amongst the most well-respected, well-informed voices anywhere in the big leagues. Contronio is considered a top-tier professional and will no doubt be hired soon by one of the other 29 Major League Baseball teams. If the A's fans are deprived of one of the best in the business, just like quality players, the A's have unloaded. They don't care about winning. As an A's fan who now lives in Las Vegas, I was excited about the possible relocation. Not anymore. This horrible owner has ruined the fan experience, and the commissioner should force him out. Yeah, that's what interested me about that comment, because Rob is exactly who the A's should be winning over. But Rob, let me ask you, especially based on what we learned from the Sacramento excursion I went on the other day, do you believe there is a way in heaven, hell, earth, Middle Earth, or on Alderaan that the A's could put together an adequate, I'm not talking a championship team, adequate 81-81? Is that possible by 2028 if there's nobody in the stands? By the way, a point I forgot to make in the episode yesterday is, think about this for a second. It was broiling hot in the Sacramento game I went to. It was broiling hot to the point where an usher was scared for my health. Okay? Imagine if the stadium's packed. What happens when people are close to each other? There's body heat, right? When you got a bunch of people all together, heat emanates. Now, what would happen if you have 14,000, which is just about a capacity crowd at the ballpark in Sacramento, and they have to play a getaway game like today, all right? And it's 104 degrees, and people are packed together. How pleasurable is that experience going to be? I don't think we have to worry because people are going to say, hey, it's 104 degrees. The team sucks. I think I'll find other ways to get heat stroke. And it's in trouble because they can't even win over Rob Scheinkoff, 6'5", 4'8", who's an A's fan in Las Vegas. There are more Dodger fans there than anyone. Ask the Marlins how easy it is to turn people's hearts. All those Yankee fans and Met fans living in Miami. How many of them flip to the Marlins, even though the Marlins have as many World Series titles as the Mets? And they beat the Yankees in the World Series. How's that going for them? How's that going for them? By the way, the Marlins have a more recent World Series appearance than the Yankees. I'm just saying. All right. Well, enough of that. Good for the A's. Win the series against the Angels. Win the series against Philadelphia. Win another series against the Angels. Win a series against Houston. Win 2 more games, and you have a winning July. I feel good. You feel good. Let's all feel good. So follow us at Locked On A's on Twitter or whatever the hell it's called now, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Enjoying the role of a spoiler. This has been Locked On A's. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.